Imagine being the strongest person in the world, enrolling in a magic academy, and having some students there try to bully you. Can you picture it? It would be a massacre. Well then, let us begin. This is Varvatos, known as the Conqueror of Titans, and the strongest demon king to ever walk the earth. After defeating all the rulers of the world, he felt that existence itself had become hollow, and the only thing he desired was to experience defeat. This was, of course, because everyone had come to call him a monster, and no one wished to befriend him any longer. Thus, Varvatos resolved to cast a spell that would transfer him into another body thousands of years later, hoping that in his new life he might finally build friendships. Indeed, after 3,000 years had passed, Varvatos was born into a peaceful family. They named him Ard, and his family was overjoyed with his birth. At that time, Ard himself was delighted with this new life, and he resolved that he would make many friends in this era. When Ard reached the age of 10, his family celebrated his birthday and asked what he intended to do with his life in the coming days. Ard smiled and decided that he would form countless friendships. At that moment, he stepped out onto the balcony and called out to some children, asking them to be his companions. Yet the children disliked his manner and simply walked away, leaving him behind. Ard was shocked and said, "What did I do wrong? Why would they avoid me? I shall try again." So he hid in a corner, waiting to approach some girls who happened to pass by. But as he stood there, his heart began to pound violently. His stomach twisted with pain, and embarrassment overwhelmed him. The girls noticed him in this pitiful state, and soon they ran off, laughing nervously as they fled. Still, Ard did not give up, and he called after them, hoping they would accept his offer of friendship. Yet his way of speaking was terribly poor, frightening them even more, and they fled in fear. In anger, Ard went into the forest and began to unleash destruction. "Even though I have taken on the form of a human whom no one knows, people still fear me. There must be something I can do," he shouted. On his way home, he encountered the village mayor, Haikyuu, who was a close friend of his parents. Ard asked him, "Do you know a way I could make friends quickly?" The mayor looked at him and replied, "I have the answer." Ard grew excited and said, "Then tell me at once." The mayor explained, "In order to befriend someone, you must treat them with kindness and respect, or else no one will wish to speak with you." Ard understood and grew thrilled with the advice. The mayor continued saying, "My daughter," but before he could finish, Ard interrupted. "I will go and follow your advice at once, and I will try to make friends with anyone I can." Of course, Ard went off to try as the mayor had instructed, yet his manner was still clumsy and rough. Each time he approached someone, they refused to befriend him, and everyone left him behind. Here, Ard grew furious and went to the forest once more to vent his anger. He burned some predatory beasts, yet he still felt deeply unsettled. Suddenly, Ard heard the scream of a girl shouting, "I hate you." He hurried toward the voice and found a young girl fighting against a magical beast. Ard examined her and realized she too was angry, venting her rage just as he was. The girl cast a spell upon the beast and slew it. Then she turned to see Ard standing there. "What are you doing here?" she asked. Ard tried to treat her kindly, just as the mayor had advised. The girl stared at him, not understanding what he wanted. Ard whispered softly, "Could we become friends?" The girl looked at him and repeated, "Friends?" The unease in her voice was clear. Ard thought to himself, "This is the first time someone has actually replied to me. I must continue until she becomes my friend." So he stepped closer and said, "There are so many things we share in common. Come, let us be the closest of friends." The girl remained silent until finally she burst out in anger. "You're disgusting!" She turned away and left, though her eyes were filled with tears. She returned home to her father, who, as fate would have it, was none other than the mayor, Haikyuu. What an unexpected twist of fortune. Ard returned home and said to the mayor, "I followed all of your advice, but nothing worked." He had barely finished speaking when he saw the same girl who had rejected him. Ard thought to himself, "This cannot be mere coincidence. She must become my friend." By the way, this girl's name was Irina. Ard continued to pursue her every day, hoping she would accept his friendship, but Irina's rejection was absolute. This, of course, was due to past hardships that had left her isolated and estranged from everyone around her. Still, Ard would not give up. He devised countless plans to win her over. He sang for her, recited poetry to her, but nothing seemed to succeed. Ard thought to himself, "I will not surrender either." He returned home searching for a new plan. But while he was there, he suddenly heard the townsfolk screaming in the streets, "Monsters are attacking us." He rushed outside and saw his father battling the beasts. The mayor arrived as well and said, "Irina went to the mountain and has not returned since." Ard's heart filled with worry, and he told the mayor, "Do not fear, I will bring her back unharmed." Using flight magic, Ard soared away to reach her. At that moment, Irina was surrounded by monsters, trembling with terror. They mocked her, sneering, "We shall kill you." She threw her sword aside and said to them, "It is a dull life anyway. Do as you wish." Yet deep inside, she was consumed by fear. The monsters charged, ready to finish her. But at the last instant, Ard intervened, shielding her from harm. He looked to their leader and declared, "I despise bullies like you who prey on the weak. If you leave now, you will walk away unscathed. But if you remain, you shall suffer a fate far worse." The monster grew enraged and commanded 2 of his underlings to attack. With a single glare from Ard, the beasts were obliterated. The leader trembled in terror and tried to flee. Ard smirked. "And where do you think you're going?" Boom! He annihilated him on the spot. Afterwards, Ard turned to Irina and asked, "Are you all right?" Irina replied, "Why did you come? I want to die. I am alone, abandoned, and no one cares for me." Ard answered, "Please, do not say such things. I may not know what you have endured, but I know the pain of loneliness all too well. Truly, I wish to be your friend forever." Irina, her eyes softened. "You mean, you won't betray me like everyone else did?" Ard said firmly. "Impossible." She asked, "Will you remain my friend until the last day of my life?" Ard answered, "I will stand by your side, always." Irina was moved by his words and accepted his friendship. This became Ard's first true victory since his rebirth. Years passed, and the 2 of them grew older. The time finally came for their enrollment at the Academy of Magic. Together, they applied and sat before the headmaster, who explained that they must pass 2 exams, a written test and another that measured their magical power. The exams were held, and the results announced. Irina's name shone at the very top of the list, and when she saw it, she was overwhelmed with joy. Ard, however, searched for his name again and again, yet it was nowhere to be found. At last he discovered it, buried at the very bottom of the rankings, his scores recorded as 0. Ard's face paled. "Did I fail to study properly, or what happened?" he muttered. Then the headmaster entered and congratulated them both for passing. Not only that, but he praised Ard's answers, declaring they were more correct than the official key itself. "In other words, we gave you 0 only because we had no idea what to write for your brilliance, my boy." The headmaster then called out to the other students, "You are fortunate indeed, for you shall study alongside this genius." Ard, flustered, replied, "Calm yourself, master. I am but a simple villager." What Ard did not know was that his parents had once been heroes themselves, the very ones who slew the colossal dragon that threatened the kingdom in the past. In short, his family was incredibly powerful. He had hoped to live as part of an ordinary family? Well then, so be it. Afterward, Ard and Irina entered their classroom. Crowds of students gathered around them, admirers everywhere. And where there are admirers, there are also those who are envious. While in class, they heard a boy shouting at a girl, "You're useless." He struck her across the face in front of everyone. Ard was about to speak, but Irina stepped forward and cried, "Why would you strike her? You are utterly disgraceful." The boy sneered at them and said, "She's a servant of my household. Her magic is so weak that she must have seduced someone just to be admitted into this school. Nothing more." Ard's anger flared. "Apologize to her," he demanded. The boy scoffed. "No, if you want me to apologize, then defeat me in a duel." One-on-one Ard was ready to accept, but Irina stopped him. "Don't, Ard. He's one of the strongest mages in the kingdom, perhaps even stronger than the instructors themselves." But before the argument could continue, their homeroom teacher entered. Ard froze the moment he heard her voice. That voice, Olivia. He trembled. What is she doing here? For this Olivia was none other than the former commander who once served under Varvatos in his days of conquest. Ard thought in panic. Surely she has recognized me and has come to punish me for abandoning my duties and being reborn in this age. Yet Olivia did not recognize him, at least not yet. She walked up to Ard and said, "Are you already causing trouble in my class on the very first day?" Ard quickly bowed. "I am sorry," Olivia smirked. "I like the sound of this duel that's about to happen between you and that boy. Now then, let us begin." I shall be watching, and so, my friend, it seems the flames of battle are about to ignite. The duel between the two began in earnest. The boy provoked Ard with his words, shouting, "Prepare yourself, for I shall finish you here and now." He rushed at Ard with full force, but it was useless. Ard did not move a step, not even a strand of his hair stirred. The boy snarled, "Very well, let me show you what I truly possess." Ard smirked and replied, "I hope so, for otherwise you'll only put me to sleep." Enraged, the boy unleashed an immensely powerful spell upon Ard, one known as Giga Flame. Ard was momentarily surprised and said, "You think this is Giga Flame? This is nothing but ordinary fire. If you are merely jesting, stop wasting my time and fight with seriousness." Everyone stood frozen, stunned at Ard's might, and at how effortlessly he endured the boy's attacks. Consumed with fury, the boy gathered all his power, filling the entire arena with blazing fire. But still, none of it so much as made Ard take a single step. Ard declared, "Now come, and I shall show you the true Giga Flame." He invoked a spell that shook the entire place to its foundation. The audience was left breathless at the overwhelming power of his magic. The boy, realizing he could do nothing, dropped to his knees and cried out, "I am sorry for challenging you in the first place." Irina and Ginny were overjoyed, especially Ginny, the very girl the boy had bullied. Afterwards, Ard approached the defeated boy and said, "Never again challenge someone far beyond your level." The boy withdrew in shame, but once he left, Olivia approached Ard and asked, "You cast a second spell simultaneously to shield him from your Giga Flame, didn't you?" Ard nodded. "Indeed, so that he would not be incinerated." Olivia's eyes narrowed. "That means you performed 2 incantations at the same time?" The entire class gasped in shock, for dual casting was a lost skill in this age. Olivia began to suspect him. "One day," she said, "I will uncover everything you are hiding." And with that, she walked away. The very next day, Olivia assembled the students for dungeon training. The dungeon was made up of multiple floors, each teeming with monsters, with a powerful floor boss ruling each level. Olivia instructed the students to form teams of 3 to support one another in battle. Their task, to bring back the hide of a magical wolf. Once training began, all the students clamored to join Ard's team, hoping for his protection. But Irina chose Ginny and invited her to join them. At first, Ginny was shy and hesitant, but in the end, she accepted. As soon as they entered the dungeon, they were attacked by a pack of wolves. Ard and Irina dispatched them in a single strike. Ginny, however, froze in terror at the sight of the beasts and burst into tears. Irina tried to encourage her, but Ginny's self-confidence had been shattered by the bullying she endured from the boy and his friends. Ard looked at her and said, "What do you say I teach you magic?" Ginny lowered her head and answered, "I'll only be a burden to you." Ard smiled. "I still have a long road ahead in mastering magic myself, but allow me to guide you onto the right path." Ginny agreed, and Ard began to teach her magic. Slowly, she started to improve, though her magical energy was far too little. That was when Ard conceived of an idea. He invented a spell to aid her. He cast it, and it succeeded in wiping out the wolves. Both Ginny and Irina were astonished. Ard explained, "This is textual magic." Irina gasped, "Textual magic? I've never heard of such a thing in my life." Ard chuckled, "Of course not. I only just created it." The 2 girls were left speechless. Irina said, "How can you possibly be this strong? There's no one like you." Ard dismissed her words. "Forget that now. Just memorize the spell." He taught them the incantation, and they began practicing it. When another pack of wolves attacked, Ginny, this time, cast the spell herself and defeated them. Overjoyed, she rushed to Ard and clung to his arm, smiling with pure happiness. Irina, feeling a pang of jealousy, seized Ard's other arm tightly. That was when they triggered a trap and were dropped into the boss's chamber. Terror seized them at once, but Ard reassured them, "This is good. It will teach you how to use textual magic in real combat." The 2 girls looked on in shock as the monstrous boss swung at Ard. Yet this was Ard, my friend. He stopped the strike with nothing more than a single finger. Calmly, he explained, "The most important thing is to maintain distance from your foe. Secondly, cast the spell with all the strength you can muster to bring down the beast." Irina and Ginny stood in awe at Ard's power. With the monster weakened and 1 strike away from defeat, Ard turned to Ginny. "You must finish it." Ginny hesitated, still uncertain of herself. Ard encouraged her. "Now is the time you must choose your path. Either live with courage and slay this beast, or cower in fear for the rest of your life." Inspired, Ginny rose with determination, unleashed the spell with all her strength, and struck the monster from every direction. At last, the floor boss was defeated, and Ginny's fear was shattered. Irina embraced her, and the two girls shared in their triumph. They emerged from the dungeon and handed the monster parts to Olivia, who was deeply impressed by Ard's feats. Naturally, Ard tried to feign innocence, but Olivia's suspicions of him only deepened. Suddenly, the same boy Ard had humiliated before appeared and sneered at Ginny. "You are nothing but a nuisance." Or perhaps you even managed to seduce him as well, Ginny. Ginny trembled with rage. "I'll endure your insults and even your blows, but I will never let you dishonor Ard before me." It seemed indeed she had fallen for him. The boy mocked her further, but Ginny slapped him across the face. As he staggered, Irina placed something on his head and said, "May this remind you never to do such a thing again." Ard was amused by her words, glancing at the two girls and thinking to himself, "I believe this is the true beginning." Afterwards, they handed over the rest of the monster corpses to Captain Olivia, who now, more than ever, doubted Ard's true identity. On the other side, the headmaster was speaking with Ard after Olivia praised his strength, declaring him to be a truly remarkable student of great promise. The headmaster requested that Ard participate in a special festival of the kingdom, an event that included duels viewed by all the citizens. In other words, the headmaster wanted Ard to showcase his magical skills and talents in order to bring wealth and fame to the academy. Ard refused. He did not wish to display his magic in front of Olivia, nor did he want to gain fame and attract attention, preferring instead a calm and ordinary life unlike his previous one. Yet the headmaster persisted in begging him until Ard finally replied, "Very well, I shall think about it." The headmaster rejoiced and said, "I await a favorable answer from you." Later, Ard left, only to encounter Ginny at school. She asked him to go out with her on a date. "My goodness, things are heating up, my friend," Ard thought to himself. "I must refuse, or this will cause trouble." Yet when he saw Ginny's pleading eyes, he could not bring himself to say no. Suddenly, while they stood together, Irina appeared and declared that she would be joining them as well. And indeed, they agreed. Will sparks truly fly now? The three of them went on their outing, and the atmosphere was calm and pleasant. They watched a play together and then set out for a restaurant. But on the way, they overheard people speaking of the kingdom's destruction. Ard focused and then told the girls, "I am sorry, but I must go after them at once." The two replied, "We are with you in whatever you do, our lord." They followed the criminals and saw them casting a massive spell. Ard muttered, "So that's it. I understand now." But before he could finish, more criminals appeared behind him and sneered, "You've fallen into our trap." Ard walked on unfazed and said, "Well done. But are you not concerned for your own lives?" One of the criminals, furious, unleashed a spell that engulfed Ard in flames. Overjoyed, he thought he had defeated him. "But are you a fool? This is Ard, my boy." Ard looked at him, laughed, and brushed off the fire with ease. The man was struck with terror. Then Ard shattered the wall where the criminals had placed their incantation, and with a lightning spell he struck them all down, leaving only a few barely standing. Ard said, "I spared you so you could explain the reason for this ambush. If you refuse, I shall end you here and now." Their leader stepped forward. "You are a monster, but you cannot defeat me." Using the last of his strength, he transformed into a demon. Irina and Ginny trembled with fear, but Ard remained unmoved. The demon attempted to escape, soaring into the sky. But to where? "Ard will follow wherever you flee." Ard took flight after him, and Irina and Ginny, seeing this, were astounded. Witnessing for the first time a human who could fly, Ard struck the demon with a flame spell, but it was not enough to destroy him. The demon emerged from the crater, seized a small girl, and took her hostage. The townsfolk cried out in terror. Ard looked upon them and declared, "There is but one way to ease their fear." He raised his voice so that all could hear. "I am Ard Meteor, son of the great sorcerer, Jack Meteor. I shall destroy this demon, so fear not." The crowd was astonished. The demon laughed. "Destroy me? Do you not see that I hold a hostage?" Ard smirked. "Where is she then, O mighty one?" The demon froze, for it was revealed that Ard had never cast a flame spell at all, but rather an illusion spell designed to free any hostage the demon might seize. Truly ingenious. Realizing his defeat, the demon tried to escape, but to where? Ard erased him from existence with a single spell. Then he descended and reassured the townsfolk. The girl's mother thanked him tearfully, but Ard simply smiled and said, Think nothing of it. Ginny and Irina hurried to his side. The townspeople celebrated him and the sight was beautiful indeed. News of his deed reached the queen, who summoned Ard and his companions to reward them. They went to the palace where the queen, graceful and wise, revealed herself to be an old friend of Irina. The queen offered Ard the title of Quinary Mage, one of the highest honors in the kingdom. But Ard had something else in mind. He refused the title and said, "If you would, grant me a different request." The queen smiled. "Speak." Ard replied, "Instead of naming me a Quinary Mage, could you increase the budget of my magic academy?" He wished to avoid competing in the festival's duels before Olivia, and he loathed the idea of becoming famous. The queen pondered his words. He has chosen to honor his school above seeking his own prestige. Such humility must be rewarded even more. She agreed to his request, but added, "And I shall grant you the title of Quinary Mage regardless, whether out of admiration or something more." The queen was clearly taken by him. Ard was stunned. Why must things grow ever more complicated for me, he thought. The queen then bestowed titles upon Ginny and Irina as well, before dismissing them. But elsewhere, another band of thieves conspired. The son of the sorcerer is stronger than we imagined, yet no matter his strength, he cannot possibly defeat us all. Thus, a new plan was set in motion. In the days that followed, Ard's popularity soared within the academy. Every girl began confessing her love to him, enchanted by his feats that had astonished the entire kingdom. But this only vexed Irina further. One day, she pulled him away from another girl, glared at him with contempt, and walked off, leaving Ard bewildered in her wake. At that very time, the headmaster was displeased that Ard had increased the academy's budget and had sent him a letter declining to participate in the festival. But suddenly, a new teacher entered. Her name was Jessica, and she said to the headmaster, "Do not worry, I shall handle everything." That same night, a quarrel broke out between Ginny and Irina. The two argued over which of them loved Ard more. The quarrel ended with an agreement that they would challenge one another. Ard, however, refused and told them, "You must apologize to each other right now." The two sat down on the ground and agreed to apologize, but suddenly Jessica appeared before them and said, "Why apologize? Compete in the festival and settle it there. Let us see who will triumph." It was all part of Jessica's plan, and clearly she had no good intentions. The two girls agreed. The festival began, and the duels commenced. Ard and Olivia watched from the stands, while the mayor and Ard's family judged the matches. The battles were rather ordinary, until Irina stepped into the arena. She unleashed a powerful spell that astonished the entire audience. On her way back, she met Ginny, and the two agreed they would face each other in the final round. Indeed, both Ginny and Irina won all their duels and advanced to the grand finale. The decisive battle was about to begin. Yet before they could clash, one of the villains rose from among the spectators, transforming into a demon, alongside several others hidden within the crowd. Chaos consumed the place. Outside the arena, more demons attacked the kingdom itself. The situation was about to erupt into disaster. Jessica quickly gathered the students and divided them, assigning groups to fight against the demons. Ard and Olivia rushed outside to battle within the kingdom, while Jessica remained with Irina and Ginny. The battle began in earnest. Irina and Ginny stood back to back, protecting one another as they cut down the demons. Any who faced them fell swiftly. Suddenly, however, a massive blue beast appeared behind them, far stronger than the others. The two girls tried casting spells at it, but nothing had any effect. Just then, Mayor Haido intervened, shielding them with a mighty wind spell that destroyed the beast completely. Irina's heart filled with joy at the sight of her father. But then, Jessica emerged behind him and thrust her hand into his chest. The mayor collapsed to the ground, blood flowing everywhere. Irina rushed to her father, unconscious and dying. Ginny cried out, "Why did you do this?" The girl replied coldly, "I am not Jessica." It was all her scheme to kidnap Irina. Ginny realized the truth and tried to buy Irina time to escape, but the girl was far too strong. She struck Ginny down and moved to kill her. At that moment, Irina cried out in fury, rushing to shield her friend. "If you harm even one of my friends, I shall bite my tongue and die here, ruining all your plans," she shouted. The girl sneered. "So be it." With a single blow, she knocked Irina unconscious, unfurled her wings, and carried her away. Her true name was revealed. Elsa, the Dragon Queen. Irina had been taken. Ginny collapsed in tears, overcome with grief. Meanwhile, in the hospital, Mayor Haido slowly regained consciousness under the care of a nurse's healing spell. Ard stood beside him and asked, "What happened?" The mayor whispered. Irina was taken. Ard clenched his fists. Who abducted her? The mayor answered. The Dragon Queen, Elsa. The headmaster's face paled. She is a terrifying creature who once tried to destroy the world. Ard declared, no matter her strength, I will bring Irina back. Jack looked at Ard with pride. As expected of my son. The mayor then led Ard to the kingdom's vault and told him, choose whatever weapon or item you wish. Ard hesitated at first, but agreed. Jack turned to the mayor and asked, will you not tell him the truth about Irina? The mayor replied, I will not allow Irina to lose the only friend she has ever made. Elsewhere, Irina was dreaming of Ard, recalling the first time they met. In her dream, Ard asked her about her true identity. She revealed it to him, only for Ard to vanish before her, as if he had never known her at all. She cried out, begging him not to leave her. And then the dream ended. Irina awoke to find herself bound on every side. Elsa greeted her coldly. Good morning? Irina asked. Why did you kidnap me? What do you want from me? Elsa smiled and said, do you not see the beast behind you? Wait, and I shall show you. Behind her was a monstrous creation forged from the remnants of demons from the ancient wars. This beast had the power to summon the King of Destruction from another dimension, but it required a sacrifice from Irina's bloodline. It was revealed that Irina was of demonic descent, and her true name was Laviel. To avoid hatred and rejection, she had lived under the false name Irina. She trembled in rage and cried, Ard will rescue me from you. Elsa smirked, and when he learns the truth of who you are, he will abandon you. At that moment, Irina remembered her dream, lowered her eyes in sorrow, and felt her heart breaking. Elsa began preparing the beast to devour her. Things were about to turn dire. Meanwhile, Ard was readying himself for the journey. He armed himself with weapons and boarded a jet-like craft to reach Irina quickly. But suddenly, Ginny stopped him, weeping. I am sorry. I could not protect Irina. I am worthless. Ard calmed her gently. Do not worry about her. I will bring her back. What matters most is that you do not cry. Just prepare dinner for us. Ginny's tears turned into a smile. She nodded, and Ard departed swiftly toward the place where Irina awaited. At that very moment, the beast was about to devour Irina, when suddenly it was shattered into pieces. Yes, it was Ard who had arrived. Irina looked toward him, her heart overwhelmed with joy. Ard descended to the ground and declared, none of you will leave here alive. In an instant, he cast 9 spells at once, obliterating the entire place and everyone within it. He rushed to Irina and freed her from her bonds. She embraced him tightly in a scene of breathtaking beauty. But do you think it ended there? Of course not. Elsa began her partial dragon transformation and said, I shall end you here. But before I kill you, do you even know whom you are defending? Ard answered, Irina is my friend. Elsa laughed. Do you not realize she belongs to the royal bloodline and that she is descended from demons? In other words, you are defending a monster. Irina froze in terror, terrified that she would lose her only friend once he learned the truth. But Ard's words shocked her. I care not if she is of demonic blood or even the monster itself. All I know is that she is kinder and braver than anyone I have ever met. When I see her, it feels as though she radiates light and spreads hope. And in the end, you dare call her a monster. For that, I will never forgive you. Irina gazed at Ard with eyes filled with love and gratitude. Elsa roared in fury at his words and unleashed a powerful spell, but Ard blocked it with his spear. She descended upon them, but Ard suddenly invoked fire magic and burned her. Elsa grew excited. Ard taunted her. Do you think yourself so hard to kill? She smirked. Indeed, Ard retorted. Then I shall show you. Everything in this world can be destroyed. He hurled his spear, impaling her, and it exploded mid-air. Irina thought it was over, but no, this was only the warm-up. Elsa transformed fully into her dragon form and bellowed, Now! I shall annihilate you! She unleashed her lightning dragon's breath, a torrent of destructive power. Ard cast a protective barrier and turned to Irina. It would be better if you did not watch this battle. He released his sealed spiritual energy, and before them appeared the statue of Lydia, enveloping them in a golden protection. Ard spoke to her. Come. Let us dance once more. It has been far too long. She took his hand, transforming into a gleaming sword in his grasp. Elsa was shaken. "Who are you?" Ard replied. "I am but a simple villager, and I will slay you in your own domain." She roared with laughter. "A fool indeed! You dare challenge a dragon in the sky? You are truly insane." Ard narrowed his eyes. "We shall see who the fool is." The two clashed with devastating might. Ard launched a powerful spell, but Elsa overcame it. She fought him with ferocity and savagery. Ard hovered in the air, glanced toward Irina, and heard her cry out, "You must not lose to her." At that moment, Ard thought, so there is no choice then. He invoked the transformation back into his form as the Demon King. Elsa struck with all her power, but Ard countered effortlessly. How is this possible?" she gasped. Ard answered, "Analysis, comprehension, and control of the flow of battle. That is my way. Now I understand everything about you. The world cast you aside to rot in solitude, and thus you sought to destroy it." Elsa shrieked, "Never before have I felt such rage." Both prepared their ultimate spells, so massive it seemed the very world would collapse. They unleashed them at once, but Ard's spell was far beyond hers, obliterating the Dragon Queen within seconds. Afterward, Ard spoke to Lydia and returned her to his soul once more. He descended to Irina, who was visibly shaken after witnessing his true power. She forced a smile and said, "Let's go." But in her heart, she thought, "I must become stronger so that I can stand beside Ard one day." Thus the day came to an end. The scene shifted to another place, where a young girl had been battling monsters within a dungeon for 3 years. Her name was Sylphie, once a commander under Varvatos in his conquests. Sylphie declared, "At last, my training is complete. It is time I left to see how the world has changed." She emerged and was shocked. Could only 3 years have changed the world this much? Something is wrong. Before she could finish, a masked man appeared behind her, calling out, "How are you, Commander Sylphie?" She froze. Who was this man who knew her by name? Sylphie asked, "Who are you, and what do you want?" The man replied, "You truly have not changed in 3,000 years." Sylphie gasped. 3,000? What? The man explained, "Did you not know? 1 year in the dungeon equals 1,000 years in the outside world." Sylphie stammered, Yes, of course I knew," but it was clear she was lying. She then asked about her sister Lydia and about the Demon King Varvatos. The man said, "The Demon King has long since perished. He cast a spell to escape his duties and was reborn in another body under the name Ard Meteor." How could this man know such a truth? Surely there was a deeper mystery. Sylphie, furious, resolved to go and punish Ard. Meanwhile, the headmaster was sitting with Irina, Ginny, and Ard, telling them about the secondary school festival, for which they were required to perform a play. They agreed and prepared to leave. But before Ard could go, the headmaster handed him a letter of threat, written on human skin. The message bore the name Ghoul Head, and declared his intent to destroy the school and everyone within it. The headmaster asked Ard to protect them should the threat come true. Ard calmly replied, "Very well," and with that they departed. They went to class, but suddenly Sylphie entered, demanding to know who Ard was. She seized the students one by one, asking, "Are you Ard or not?" Until Olivia stepped forward, struck her on the head and scolded, "Have you not learned discipline even after the 3,000 years you spent in the dungeon?" At that moment, Ard nodded slightly in agreement. Sylphie caught sight of him and marched over. "You are Ard Meteor, the reincarnation of the Demon King, are you not? You must tell me everything that has happened. Where is my sister Lydia? Where are the demons and monsters? And why did you reincarnate yourself?" Ard replied calmly, "This is nothing more than a misunderstanding." But Sylphie insisted she had researched everything, discovering that he was indeed the reincarnation of the Demon King. Olivia listened intently, clearly intrigued by her words, and Ard's situation seemed about to turn for the worse. Again, Ard repeated, "This is just a misunderstanding." Sylphie smirked. "Very well then. What do you say we fight, and if I defeat you, you'll tell me the truth? Or has the Demon King turned into a coward after all this time?" Ard grew irritated at her insult to his pride. Just then, Irina entered and declared, "If it's a challenge you want, then face me instead. But don't you dare speak to Ard like that." Sylphie was impressed by Irina. Her face bore a striking resemblance to Lydia. She asked, "Who are you?" Irina replied, "I am Ard's first and dearest friend." Sylphie smiled. "Then you must be my friend as well." But Irina refused. Sylphie grew angry. "Then I shall face Ard." Olivia approved of this idea, and they all went out for the duel. Ard thought to himself, "I must lose on purpose to lessen their suspicions of me." The battle began, and Sylphie quickly gained the upper hand, but her words provoked Ard, and in the end, he turned the fight against her. Olivia declared Ard the victor, and it seemed the duel was over. But Sylphie rose again, crying, "I have not lost yet." she cast a new spell, summoning forth a massive sword. Ard shouted, "Do not use that sword here!" But she ignored him, charging with full force. Ard activated his barrier, then, angered, prepared to unleash a devastating spell. At that very moment, Olivia intervened, halting them both. "Look around you," Olivia shouted. "The sword you wield releases poison with every pulse. It is filling the air, harming everyone here." Sylphie froze in horror at what she had done. "This is all because of Ard," she cried. Before she could continue, Irina slapped her across the head and scolded, "When you make a mistake, you must apologize to those around you, or you will be worthless, and no one will ever care for you." Sylphie gazed at her, remembering the words of her sister Lydia. Tears welled up as she whispered, "I am sorry. I did not mean to." Ard, too, looked at Irina and realized how very much she resembled Lydia. They returned to class afterward, and Ard explained to them the details of the upcoming festival and what was expected. Roles were distributed, and the atmosphere grew calm. Yet, from afar, the masked man watched Ard silently, plotting the plan he had prepared to kill him. Clearly, things would soon erupt again. The next day, the school festival began. Ard and Irina went to the shops together under the pretense of patrolling to protect the school. It was clear that Irina was delighted to be walking with Ard. Suddenly, however, an explosion shook the air. They rushed to the scene and found Sylphie raising her sword against a man, threatening him. "What brings a demon here?" Ard sighed in frustration. "Why are you doing this, Sylphie?" She replied firmly, "Because this man is a demon. Anyone with eyes like his is surely a demon." The man, terrified, stammered, "I am just an ordinary human." But Sylphie snapped, "No, you are a demon." Her naivety was obvious. Olivia arrived and clarified the situation, explaining that the man was the owner of a restaurant she once worked at, and confirmed he was human. Realizing her mistake, Sylphie grew ashamed. But Irina invited her to join them at the cafe, and she accepted. While Ard stood with Olivia and Irina, he asked about a tree nearby, sensing strange energy emanating from it. Olivia replied, "That is a secret I cannot share, not even with you. But know this tree is tied to tomorrow's sword tournament. And by the way, I've already entered my name." Ard sighed. "Then the winner is already decided." Olivia smirked. "No, because you will be entering as well." Ard protested. "I don't like displaying my strength before others." Olivia's eyes narrowed. "You will compete. Or should I take action otherwise?" Ard relented. "Very well, I will join." It seemed she held some secret over him. Later, Ard checked on Sylphie at the cafe, but as always, she was a walking disaster, ruining everything she tried. Truly, the girl was hopeless. Still, Ard entered when the girls invited him. It was more than obvious that every girl there admired Ard. His face flushed with embarrassment, but Irina quickly stepped in, pulling him away. Ginny confronted her. "Do you think Ard belongs to you alone? We wish to serve him too." Irina snapped back. "I will not give Ard to anyone else, not even if it costs me my life." Once more, the two quarreled over who loved Ard more. At last, they decided to settle the matter by entering the sword tournament. Whoever won would claim Ard. The tournament began. Irina entered first, winning with ease. Ard and Olivia also advanced quickly. Then came Ginny's turn. She faced a fearsome opponent and was on the verge of defeat. But with Ard's encouragement, she rose again, found her courage, and triumphed. Thus, all of them advanced to the finals. After the matches, Ard left the arena, only to be met by Ginny. She asked about Irina and Sylphie. He explained that they had gone to the cafe to help with the overwhelming customers. Ginny brightened and said, "Very well, then come with me to this next contest." It was the beauty pageant of the festival, to choose the most handsome boy and fairest girl. Ginny told him she wanted him to be her partner. Her feelings for him were plain. Ard, though reluctant, agreed, not only to spare Ginny's heart, but also to keep watch over the other students there. They arrived at the venue, and Ard stood among the youths. As he scanned the crowd, his eyes fell upon a young man who looked disturbingly familiar. He remembered him, the same fellow who had struck Ginny before. Ard addressed him. "Did you come here for Ginny?" The young man trembled. "Please, do not kill me," he stammered. Ard studied him and was surprised by how much weight the man had gained. The man confessed to Ard, "I came only to cheer for Layla, the girl on the stage." Ard asked softly, "What brought you to this state?" The man replied, "After you defeated me, I fell into despair. All I did was eat." Ard shrugged and said, "Very well, very well." At that moment, Ginny mounted the stage, radiating confidence, as the crowd cheered her name. The young man watched her and murmured, "She became confident because of you. I was only an obstacle in her path. I want to go and apologize, but I lack the courage." He paused, then said, "I should not stand here any longer," and walked away, his spirit clearly broken. In the contest for the festival's most handsome youth and fairest maiden, Ard and Ginny emerged victorious. They returned to the cafe, and as usual, Irina was furious at the outcome. Then the finals began. Olivia faced Ard, and the two clashed with tremendous force. Ard erected a barrier to parry Olivia's strikes, but in the end, he drew upon magic within the contest and was disqualified for using sorcery in the sword tournament. Olivia remained aloft in the air. Finally, the decisive duel between Ginny and Irina commenced. The two attacked each other fiercely, driven by jealousy. Each time one declared she loved Ard more, Ard blushed painfully and prayed for the match to end quickly. At last, the bout concluded with Irina's victory over Ginny. Both girls left the arena in tears. Irina warned Ginny that she would not allow her to look at Ard again, but Ginny, of course, withdrew from that agreement. Meanwhile, the masked man watched them both from the shadows, plotting to eliminate them. He merely waited for the perfect moment. The following day, the festival's second act began. Ard, Irina, and their friends were set to perform a play about the life of the demon king Varvatos before his fall. The students were nervous at first, but their performance proved excellent and the audience was enthralled. As Ard acted scenes that mirrored his own past battles with Lydia, he remembered how brutal those fights had been. The enemy commander had been powerful, difficult to defeat on equal terms. At one point, Sylphie declared she would fight beside them, but Lydia refused. Some nights later, Sylphie visited Varvatos, pleading, tears in her eyes, "Why won't you let me fight with you? I have trained endlessly to help my sister Lydia." Varvatos's heart softened. He answered, "Very well. Fight as you wish, and I shall protect you." The next day, the fierce battle began. The opposing commander proved immensely strong and nearly slew Lydia until the ground collapsed beneath him from a trap Sylphie had prepared. Lydia seized the opening and felled the commander in a single strike. Everyone rejoiced, and Sylphie earned the highest honor of the fight. Returning to the present, their play had been a sparkling success. The audience applauded wildly. Sylphie, however, spotted a girl in the crowd who resembled her sister Lydia, and rushed forward to embrace her, only to discover it was not Lydia. The pang of homesickness and sorrow overcame Sylphie. At that moment, the masked man who had sent the threatening message under the name Ghoulhead entered, his eyes fixed on the scene, intent on sowing ruin. After the performance, Ard and Ginny waited outside the school to ask Sylphie why she had left so abruptly. Sylphie arrived, fury writ plain on her face. "I want you in the schoolyard tomorrow," she told Ard. Ginny presumed Sylphie intended to confess her love and brought Irina along to watch. When Ard reached the place where Sylphie had asked him to meet, he found her gripping a great sword, the very blade that had belonged to her sister Lydia. Sylphie performed an incantation and released sealed energy from a nearby tree. Evidently, the sword's power had been bound within it. She told Ard plainly that she would kill him. She summoned a second blade and launched herself at him with all of her might. Ard flew back to assess the situation, but Sylphie pursued, bent on slaying him. When Ard peered into her eyes, he realized she had been brainwashed. From afar, the masked man watched, intoxicated with satisfaction. It became clear that when Sylphie had been taken, he showed her the vision of her sister Lydia dying at Varvatos's hands. The shock had toppled Sylphie into a vow of vengeance. She swore she would kill him. Sylphie struck Ard and wounded him in the back. Believing she had slain him, she paused, only to realize that her sister Lydia had not returned. Ginny and Irina rushed in to stop Sylphie, but none could overpower her. She struck them down as if they were shadows. Just as she prepared to finish them, Ard reappeared, having unleashed the full measure of his energy. Seeing him, Sylphie's rage redoubled. She lunged again. Ard dodged without wishing to seriously harm her. He refused to attack her with full force. Sylphie seized a killing opportunity, and, just as she was about to land a lethal blow, she heard Lydia's voice cry out, "Stop!" The command pierced her mind. She halted, and consciousness returned to her. The masked man strode forward, sneering at Sylphie. "You useless fool!" He struck her down and seized her weapons, then turned to Ard. "If she will not finish you, then I shall kill you myself." He charged at Ard with all his might, but in a flash Ard struck him, severing his arm and sending him flying. Yet the masked man did not yield. He rose into the air, attempting to slay Ard with Lydia's second sword. But suddenly, the blade rejected him. Its energy surged through his body, electrocuting him mercilessly. Ard gazed at him coldly. It is the sword that chooses who may wield it. Ard grasped the weapon, its power now under his control. With it, he unleashed an enormous spell that annihilated the masked man once and for all. Afterwards, Ard moved to claim the second sword. But then, Lydia's spirit emerged from within. She went to Sylphie and spoke gently. "Why are you doing this, foolish girl? Do not blame Ard for anything. Live the rest of your life in peace and joy, and know that I shall always be happy." With those words, Lydia's spirit faded away. Sylphie wept, torn between grief and joy. The next day, Ard, Ginny, and Irina rode in a carriage. Suddenly, time itself halted, and they were transported into another dimension. Before them stood a young child. "Welcome," he said. Ard asked, "Are you a demon?" The boy smiled faintly. "Humans tend to call the unknown evil. In that sense, perhaps I am a demon. But if you focus on my true nature, you will see I am not." Ard pressed, "What do you want from us?" The boy explained, "There are infinite worlds. The past and the future repeat endlessly. Though the past does not return, there exists a strange entity seeking to disrupt the balance. The meeting between this entity and the Demon King will shake your world to its core, and one of them shall vanish." Ard frowned. "Could you simplify this so that we may understand?" The boy replied, "I want you to destroy this entity." The three awoke. Ard said gravely, "It seems we have been transported into the past." Ginny asked, "How can you be sure?" Ard pointed to the sky. "Do you see the two moons above? Such a sight is impossible in our world. Long ago, an event caused one moon to be lost, and judging by our surroundings, I believe we are now in a region of the great kingdom of Fradia, ruled by the Demon King Varvatos himself. If what we've been told is true, the only way forward is to meet him." Suddenly, they heard a girl scream. They found her fleeing from a massive scorpion. Irina exclaimed, "This is nothing like the monsters of our world." Ard replied, "We must help her." He drew numerous magic circles and launched them at the beast, exploding it instantly. A voice called out, "You are truly powerful. Thank you for saving my follower." They turned to see Olivia. Irina and Ginny gasped. "Olivia!" She looked puzzled. "Have we met before?" Ard quickly covered. "Of course, they've merely heard of you and admire your reputation." Olivia cast a spell that rendered the two girls unconscious, but Ard remained standing. She looked at him with sharp eyes. "Why are you unaffected?" Ard answered, "You simply did not use enough magic." She said curtly, "Follow me." The next day, they awoke in her home, marveling at its unusual design. Olivia spoke to Ard. "You seem deeply concerned about the state of the city." Ard replied, "Indeed, it has been a long time since I last visited this region." "May I ask why you brought us here?" Olivia answered. "To join our forces. This is the age of great heroes, and we are under attack from outsiders. Since then, the demons they spawned have clashed with humanity in fierce battles. The war we endure now is caused by Queen Varvatos herself, who is developing human sorcery. And you possess immense talent in magic. Having witnessed your power, you would be an invaluable asset." Ard sighed. "So, in other words, you cannot allow someone like me to roam free." "Very well. But I have two conditions. First, that these two girls be allowed to join with me." Olivia frowned. "Do you wish for them to die so quickly?" Ard shook his head. "No, I will protect them. And second, that we be assigned to the forces of Verda." Her eyes widened. "Do you even understand what you are saying?" Ard replied firmly. "Of course." Olivia smirked. "A man of your strength requests to serve merely in logistics? To handle weapons, food, and healing supplies?" Ard answered, "Despite appearances, we are nothing more than magic students." "I harbor no ambitions." Olivia considered this, then said, "True. Most of Verda's people are scholars and researchers, not fighters. Their missions are centered on logistics and healing, and their mortality rate is the lowest in our army." "Very well. If those are your terms, you shall serve her directly. I will use my authority to place you under her command." Soon they arrived at Verda's research center. Ard thought to himself, "If we serve under her, the chances of these two girls being in danger will be minimal, though such work pains me greatly." Suddenly, the laboratory exploded before them. From the smoke emerged Verda herself. "I knew I could succeed. The experiment is perfect." She repaired the center in an instant and welcomed them inside. She said, "New recruits for my division? That is rare indeed. Have you come because you admire me?" Ard answered, "Let me explain why we are here." He told her everything, that they had come from the future. Verda's eyes gleamed with excitement. "I shall help you find a way back to your time." But suddenly, Sylphie stormed in, pursuing Verda. Then Lydia appeared, and Ard was stunned. Lydia seized Verda and growled, "I told you, you are not sending enough support. Are you mocking me?" Verda smirked. "Then use these three." But Ard provoked Lydia, who snapped, "Then fight me outside." They went out. Lydia launched lightning-fast punches, and Ard blocked them all. She tricked him, throwing sand in his eyes and kicking him, then delivered a brutal punch. Ard rushed back and struck her, but she countered with an uppercut that lifted him into the air. He pushed off her head, driving her into the ground. Then, both unleashed strikes at the same time, colliding with devastating force. As the sun set, the fierce battle ended in a draw. Lydia, breathing heavily, looked at Ard. "You are truly strong. Bring the two girls with you and form part of our support unit. Honestly, I wanted you on the front lines, but clearly you have your reasons." Ard replied, "As long as you understand that, do not ask for the impossible." Lydia smiled faintly. "Still, I need your strength." Ard's heart stirred. He remembered those exact words spoken to him long ago. He asked, "I heard about your connection with the Demon King. Can you arrange a meeting for us?" Lydia nodded. "I have no objection. But even if I recommend it, Varvatos will despise the idea. If you wish to meet him, achieve something worthy of his trust. He only opens his heart to those who earn it." That night, Ard stood alone when Latima, Lydia's handmaiden, approached. "You will remain in the palace until our next campaign. Lady Lydia asked me to tell you, use this house freely, as though it were your own, or that of a close friend." Ard whispered to himself, "A close friend? I killed someone irreplaceable with my own hands. Do I truly have the right to call her that?" The next day, Ard and his companions stood with Verda's forces, far from the front lines. Verda instructed them, "We shall not engage in a major clash with the enemy, and even if we do, these magical tools will certainly protect you." Ard thought silently. Based on what Verda and Lydia said, we are in the past. Back then, as the Demon King, I expanded my army. The battles against demons and outsiders were nearing their climax. I remember how demons ruled this region, how the united armies of Lydia and Verda toppled fortresses and castles, laying the foundation for our dominance of the continent. Yet, I do not recall any trouble arising from this particular battle. Suddenly, Lydia's forces assaulted the enemy's fortress. At the same time, Verda's camp was struck by lightning spells, an ambush aimed at their supplies and healers. Ard realized at once. So, the strategy is to crush the army's provisions, a classic tactic of war. I thought we were safe here. But this works to our advantage. It may not be enough to grant me an audience with the Demon King, but it is still an achievement. Meanwhile, Lydia stormed the fortress, frowning. Strange, the enemy commander has yet to appear, even now. A soldier rushed to her. "Report! Verda's rear forces have been ambushed. The attackers were few, but they were led by Commander Bulgan." Lydia's eyes widened and she hurried to the scene. At that very moment, Bulgan advanced toward Ard, only to step on a trap and be instantly captured. Lydia and Sylphie arrived as Ard finished subduing him. "It seems the matter is already settled," Lydia remarked. Ard shrugged. He wasn't even worth killing. Yet, even if a commander is weak, he is still a commander. That is why I made sure to take him alive. Lydia stared. "Weak? That was the great military commander we've been struggling to defeat. Whatever the case, you are remarkable. It is only a matter of time before you meet Varvatos." The following day, Lydia led them to the Demon King's palace. Irina and Ginny marveled at its grandeur, while Ard felt pride, knowing it was he who had built it long ago. As they approached the gates, a blazing fireball shot out toward them. Ard shielded everyone with a magical barrier. A stranger emerged, grinning. "My apologies. Think of this as my jest to celebrate your accomplishment." Ard narrowed his eyes. "I've heard much about you, Arvato." Lydia sighed. "You never change. If it's a fight you want, then face me." Arvato laughed. "I could never hope to defeat the heroine." Then a voice thundered through the hall. Varvatos himself appeared. "Why are you causing trouble here? I do not recall summoning you, Arvato. Leave now, or else..." Arvato bowed. "Understood. I am leaving." Before departing, he glanced at Ard. "Follow me." When Varvatos seated himself upon the throne, servants gathered, but he waved them away. Ginny whispered in awe. "The Demon King is incredible." Varvatos tilted his head. "Demon King? Whom do you mean by that?" Ard quickly explained. "She used the other name your majesty is known by, a title she heard at the port. She didn't mean anything by it, but Ard thought to himself, strange. The title of Demon King should have already been widespread at this time." Varvatos studied him carefully. "I know of another who bears the title of Demon King." Ard's heart skipped. "Then perhaps we misunderstood. Forgive our careless slip later," Ard confided in Verda. "He asked nothing of us, and I did not press him further about the title." Verda replied, "There is a clear discrepancy between the Demon King you know and the one known in this world. Perhaps history itself has diverged. This is only a theory, but I believe someone has altered the timeline. That change has brought forth a demon king unfamiliar to you. Ard remembered the words of the mysterious ruler. There is an entity seeking to disrupt the balance, he muttered. We may have misinterpreted. He asked us to confront the demon king and destroy the strange entity. But what if those two are the same? Ginny gasped. That means the one changing history is the demon king of this world. If we defeat him, we restore our timeline and return home. Irina added, why not ask Varvatos to help us? Verta shook her head. Impossible. This demon king appeared out of nowhere 3 years ago. He conquered the outsiders' lands and ours in the blink of an eye. We know nothing of his aim. We tried negotiations, but he ignored us. Even Varvatos fought him once and failed. Ard nodded grimly. Then Varvatos will not move without reason. Verta smiled faintly. You understand him well. Ard clenched his fists. If we achieve a greater feat, we can convince him. At that moment, Lydia entered. In the next battle, you will join me at the front lines. Ard's eyes lit with resolve. Understood. As they marched, Lydia asked, why the sudden change? When you insisted on logistics before? Ard answered, you could say this is exactly what we needed. It was wise to leave the 2 girls behind this time, she remarked. Who is our target? Ard asked. Lydia's face hardened. Mephilas, the king of curses. Ard froze in shock. Sylphie grinned. You look frightened. Ard muttered, I've heard that name before. Sylphie scoffed. Only heard it? Magicians are ranked from 1st to 7th, and demons have their own hierarchy. Mephilas is the highest rank among them, Ard thought bitterly. Impossible to forget. Mephilas is one of the reasons I killed Lydia in the past. At last, they reached the fortress. Before them stood an army of skeleton soldiers. Sylphie nearly charged, but Ard unleashed wind magic, obliterating them all. This time, he thought, I will not let history repeat itself. Suddenly, flames burst from within the fortress. They rushed inside to find the enemy engulfed in fire, Mephilas' head rolling across the ground. A man clad in armor and helm appeared. You are late, Ard demanded. Who are you? The man laughed darkly. You already have an idea. I am the Demon King, a violent beast, a tyrant, the enemy of the world. Deliver my message to your commander. I will claim the lands I desire. If he wishes them back, let him come and take them by force. And with that, he vanished before their eyes. On the following day, a council was convened regarding the Demon King. One of Varvatos' attendants spoke up. Wait, there are those among us unfit to attend this meeting. Another replied, these fighters have earned the esteem of Lady Verta and Lydia. We should accept their participation. Varvatos said, these 7 are Lydia's guests, and we cannot ignore their contributions to the war. He then turned to Ard. I have changed my mind about the Demon King. Since he has declared war, we must defeat him. We will face him with the full might of our armies and end this in a single day. A counselor asked, do you mean we will deploy the 4 leaders onto the battlefield? Varvatos answered, and I intend to enter the field personally as well. Another protested, if you do that, our regions will be left undefended, and the enemy will strike us all at once. Varvatos said, your fear is justified, hence why we will end everything in one day. Ard asked, but the Demon King declared he cannot die. How are we to defeat him? Varvatos replied, that is a secret. Then he announced, the battle will begin 3 days from now. Your assignment is to destroy the enemy's fortress. Later, Ard withdrew to his room thinking, history has changed. They were supposed to die, yet they live, and nothing has happened to Lydia. The ruler asked us to correct history. If we return with things like this. At that moment, the Demon King appeared and said, it will unfold exactly as you fear. Ard asked, do you need something from me, Demon King? He answered, the history they set cannot easily be overturned. At this stage, a massive corrective force will move, and Lydia will meet her fate in the end. Ard pressed, are you also from a different era? Enough of this naive act, the Demon King said. I know you are Ard Meteor. There is no need for a mask when you stand before a mirror. I am you, and you are me. He removed his helm. Ard was stunned to see his own face. The Demon King said, there is no reason to be surprised. I came to this age. It is no wonder this would occur. We are the same person, born in different worlds. We both lived as Varvatos, and we both crossed into another world as Ard Meteor. I gained much before losing it all quickly. You, however, have lost nothing yet. Things did not go well for me. I cast aside the name Ard Meteor, and now I am known as the Total Failure, the Stray Calamity. Ard asked, how did you come to this era? He replied, the same way you did. The moment I accepted the ruler's offer, I found myself here. Ironically, to achieve my goal, I had to don the name I once despised. And what is your goal? Ard asked. To save Lydia. I want to correct my mistakes. The same applies to you, does it not? Join me. We need not fight. Ard said, 2 questions. First, have you discussed this with myself of this era? No, the Demon King answered. I loathe myself more than anything, especially the self of this era. His folly cost me Lydia and forced me to kill her with my own hands. Then why fight myself of this age? Ard asked. If your aim is to save Lydia, opposing him is nothing but foolishness. Certain circumstances prevent me from cooperating with him no matter what, the Demon King said. I am, sadly, bound to kill him. And just as the ruler gave you a task, I was given one as well, to destroy this world. Ard was taken aback. What does destroying the world have to do with saving Lydia? Do you remember how Lydia died? Of course. I could never forget. Then it is impossible you do not understand how I feel, he said. The curse took root in her mind. She lost allies and so much more until the day everything was decided. Ard spoke quietly. To defeat the last of the outsiders, I had to take a terrible gamble, one I could hardly endure. I considered looking away and ignoring that final enemy. But when I weighed Lydia's life against annihilating all the outsiders, I chose to kill Lydia. The Demon King grabbed him. Why did you not tell her this? If you had, none of that would have happened. My mistake was letting Lydia enter enemy territory alone. Losing her in battle and watching her become a threat to the entire world, I could not bear that guilt. And even after that, the world granted me no rest. When I crossed into another world as Ard Meteor, everything was taken from me. My goals, my hopes, my dreams. He continued, at this point, I know I am only piling sin upon sin. I want to end this, to fix every wrong I have done. I will save Lydia, become the enemy the world reviles, and then I will let her kill me. After I make Lydia walk the same path I was forced to tread, everything will finally end for me, and you must prepare yourself to commit this sin with me. As Ard reached out, he heard Lydia's voice. Do not do anything, you fool. He froze. I will give you time to think, the Demon King said. I will await your answer in 3 days. Afterward, Ard walked with Latima. Along the way, he asked, have you served Lydia long? Yes, she replied. If you had to choose between your life and Lydia's, which would you choose? That is a foolish question, she said. I would do anything for Lydia. Later, he went with Lydia to a village. She tried to make him enjoy himself, only for her to end up enjoying it instead. They argued, traded blows until they were exhausted, and then she asked, have you cleared your head? You are perceptive, even if you are a fool, he said with a faint smile. Then he asked, if you had the choice to sacrifice everything to regain something you lost, what would you do? Come, I will show you something, she said. She brought him to a ruined, abandoned place. This is the sin I committed. Phantoms of the slain appeared. Lydia said, I know I should face them, but I keep running away. This town was populated only by demons. We attacked it long ago. It was strategic for our war. We had to secure it, whatever the cost. Toppling the fortress and defenses was easy. Holding it was hard. The townsfolk refused to listen and attacked us at night, so we decided to kill them all. Had we not, we would have sacrificed our comrades. They may be called monsters, but in truth, they were people like us. I will fight and carve my path by the sword, Lydia declared. After I create a world where there is no threat to humanity and no sorrow, not even for demons, perhaps then I will die wretched and unhappy. I am not someone worth changing your principles or sacrificing yourself to save. And what of our feelings? Ard asked. I must atone, she said. If I do not, I will never die with my head held high. Please do not try to change the manner of my death. The next day, the battles against demons, enemies, and dragons resumed. Arvato drew numerous magic circles, and Varvatos wielded them to open black holes that swallowed the dragons. On the ground, Sylphie and Lydia continued to fight with their blades. It would be easier if Ard were here, Sylphie said. But he went off somewhere. He must have something important to handle, Lydia replied. I leave things here to you, Sylphie. Meanwhile, Ard and the Demon King stood upon ravaged earth. What is your answer? The Demon King asked. Will you save Lydia with me? I will not save Lydia, Ard replied. How did you arrive at that choice? Because she does not wish it, Ard said. She wants to bear the title of heroine and die to atone for her sins. Those were her words to me. The Demon King unleashed beams of magic. Ard evaded them and answered with the same spell to no effect. Flames erupted beneath Ard. He leapt clear. Magic circles then caged him in, but Ard scoffed. A foolish technique dispelled them all and landed. He pressed a crushing spell down upon the Demon King, who shrugged it off. Comprehending the scope of a spell and crafting a counter incantation was a specialty of mine, he said. It seems we will reach no conclusion, Ard murmured. I knew I should not make you my enemy, the Demon King replied. Do you know why I set the day of your answer to be the very same day the war begins? At the same time, Olivia gathered Ginny and Irina and told them, our mission is part of Ard's plan. Ard has uncovered the secret behind the Demon King's power, and he ordered me to accompany you both to the fortress he occupies. Irina asked, why did he tell you and not us directly? Olivia replied firmly, because this must be done with utmost secrecy. The matter is far too important. Irina stood, anxious. Can you tell us the plan? Olivia nodded. Ard deduced that the Demon King's immortality is sustained by the forbidden technique of soul separation, sealing his spirit within a suitable vessel. That is why he cannot die. But Ard also discovered two flaws. First, the user must remain within a certain distance of the vessel. Second, if the vessel is destroyed, the user perishes with it. Most likely, the Demon King keeps his vessel hidden within the fortress. Ard has already found a secret passage. We will use it. Why us? Why did Ard entrust us with such a great role? Irina asked, trembling. Ginny smiled and encouraged her. That's not like you, Irina. You're the one who lights up with excitement in moments like this. When things are at their peak, you're the first to leap forward. Irina's eyes shone again. You're right. Let's do this. Suddenly Latima leapt forward, shoving them aside as her leg stumbled. I will hold off the enemies. You two, hurry. Meanwhile, Verda tore through the demons with her mechanical soldier and ray cannons, while others unleashed powerful magic across the battlefield. At last, Ginny and Irina reached the vessel, but as they approached, a trap was triggered, binding them in chains. Latima appeared, her voice cold. This spell seals your magical power. Elsewhere, the Demon King showed Ard a vision of the imprisoned Ginny and Irina. If you value their lives, join me. And if I refuse? Ard asked calmly. Nothing will happen to them. This is merely a performance, the Demon King replied. Ard narrowed his eyes. So, you want me to have an excuse, to tell the others you forced me to join you in order to save them. The Demon King's voice grew heavy. I know Lydia would rather die satisfied than live in despair. But what of us? We were the ones who killed her with our own hands, who encouraged her to walk the path that led to her end. We will carry that sin forever. Even if Lydia desired a tragic fate, isn't it natural that we would wish her happiness instead? I will strip the souls of countless people if that's what it takes to ensure Lydia lives. I will push the world to the brink of ruin if that is the price to save her. The lives of others mean nothing to me. Deep down, a part of you feels the same. Why do you hesitate? If you are still uncertain, I'll give you a second excuse. Perhaps I won't harm the girls, but can you guarantee what will happen once Varvatos' army reaches this fortress? Ard's voice was cold. Placing your vessel here was part of your calculations. The Demon King smirked. Then let me simplify it for you. If you do not wish to lose them, you must join me. Meanwhile, Irina turned to Latima. Why are you doing this? For one reason alone, Lydia. You need not understand more. You are nothing but tools to manipulate Ard, Latima said. Ginny's eyes burned. I can break free from this. Latima mocked her. What will you do without magic? Ginny smiled faintly. We can still use script magic. Together, she and Irina invoked textual incantations, shattering their bonds. Latima hissed and summoned a horde of beasts. At that instant, Lydia appeared, cutting them all down. Irina gasped. How did you know we were here? Lydia answered. The hairpins I gave you are magical devices. I can monitor your state through them. Then she turned to Latima. Surrender! Never! Latima screamed. We will destroy the world if that's what it takes to save you. I understand how you all feel, Lydia said softly, before slaying the beasts and striking Latima unconscious. More monsters swarmed, and Lydia fought fiercely, all the while sensing the Demon King's life force. Meanwhile, Ard faced the Demon King. You do not wish to save Lydia. You are only running away. What you truly want is to absolve yourself of the guilt of killing her, to forgive yourself and die in peace. You are using Lydia for that end. You are a coward. We have always acted out of selfish emotions without considering others. For once, let us act for someone else. Let us fulfill Lydia's wish, the Demon King roared. Silence, he gathered his power. Yes, you are right. I want to forgive myself, to save her. But I will not allow you to deny the truth of my feelings for Lydia. Both summoned Lydia's spirit, each transforming into the Demon King's form, clashing violently. Why did you cross to another world? The Demon King demanded. Was it not because you could not endure the loneliness? And yet you dare accuse me of running away? Did you forget our final words to Lydia? Never, Ard said through clenched teeth. His mind flashed back. Lydia once asked him, "What are you thinking?" "What do you mean?" he replied. "Why did you accept their proposal for a ceasefire? We will stop the war, establish a truce with our enemies, allow them to rule their lands. We will not recognize a demon nation, but we will endure the consequences." "And how can you trust them?" she pressed. "We should crush them now, while we have the chance. My mind is made up. Nothing you say will change it." "I thought we shared the same ambition," she cried. "You are nothing but a traitor. If you wish to fight them, then do so on your own." "I no longer care," the Demon King shouted. "Those words, I should never have spoken them. I didn't mean them. I should have told her the truth, that I didn't want her to die. I will not allow Lydia to meet such a miserable end. I will save her." He struck at Ard with all his might. But suddenly, Lydia herself appeared, seizing his hand. "I understand," Ard said quietly. "If that is your wish, I will do it." He slashed the Demon King down. "It ends here, stray calamity. My other self," the Demon King gasped. "Do you really believe this will make things better? Remember the days we spent with Lydia, what they meant to you. Please, I cannot fail. Only after losing her did I understand. I must save her." But Ard drove his blade into his heart. Light engulfed him. And at the same time, Irina and Ginny began to glow. Lydia appeared before them, smiling softly. "It seems you are returning home," Ginny asked. "Did you know this would happen?" "In a way," Lydia answered. "May I ask you something? How is the future? Is it a world where everyone can live with a smile?" Sorrow filled them both. Ginny answered gently, "Yes. The world is as wonderful as you dreamed," Lydia Irina added. "I enjoy every day, even when we quarrel sometimes. But we are happy. I think this truly is the world where everyone smiles." "I see," Lydia whispered. "Then our sacrifices were not in vain. One last request. Deliver my words to Ard." She leaned close and whispered her final message. They returned to their world. Varvatos ended the war. Ard was transported once more to the dimension of the ruler. "I am impressed you completed your mission," the ruler said. Ard asked, "Who are you really, and what is your purpose?" "I cannot say," the ruler replied. "But trust me when I say, I am your ally, at least." "Then I hope we never meet again," Ard said coldly. "As do I," the ruler answered. Ard awoke with Irina and Ginny. Sylphie greeted them. "We have arrived." Olivia called out, "Hurry, the other students have already begun." Sylphie looked around wistfully. "It has been so long since I last came to the old royal capital." Irina turned to Ard. "Lydia left you a message. No matter what happens, we will always be dearest friends." Tears welled in Ard's eyes. He felt Lydia's presence at his back, pushing him forward, urging him to continue walking. And thus ends Ard's tale. If you enjoyed this story, do not forget to like, subscribe, and farewell until next time.